Since the tragic and senseless death of George Floyd in Minneapolis on May 25th, our department has undertaken a specific review of 8 key areas of our policy to ensure that they are in compliance with the law, best practices in our profession, and frankly, the expectations of the community we serve. These areas are the subject of police policy reform discussions nationally, and it is important to let everyone know that our policies are consistent with these discussions. The residents and visitors to our city can be assured that our officers' efforts to serve and protect them rest on a sound and responsible foundation. These 8 key areas are de-escalation techniques, chokeholds, also known as strangleholds, warning before shooting, exhausting reasonable alternatives before using deadly force, duty to intervene, shooting at moving vehicles, use of force continuum, and comprehensive reporting. I am pleased to inform you that our policies stand up well in these discussions, are lawful, and they're appropriate. I encourage anyone with questions about these or any policies of our department to either review them at the city website of siouxfalls.org or please contact us directly. I should point out that since last year, our department policies have been under a separate review through a contract with the Legal and Liability Risk Management Institute, or LLRMI, to ensure that they are in line with state and federal law. LLRMI advises law enforcement agencies across the state of South Dakota to include the South Dakota Public Assurance Alliance. And now I'd ask Captain Mike Walsh with the Sheriff's Department to step forward.
Morning, Captain Walsh from the Sheriff's Office. We also in the Sheriff's Office have been reviewing our policy to ensure that it meets some of the criteria that outlined by Chief Burns. I'm happy to tell you that our policy also stands up well to the 8 criteria that he pointed out. Additionally, the sheriff and the chief have met with the governor and with Senator Thune to ensure that anything that comes from the federal level and the state level that we'll be able to be in full compliance with and have our policies reflect the will of what the citizens want to have.
We'd be happy to answer any questions that you may have on the press release.
Governor Nunn sent out a news release today saying that she met with leaders in the law enforcement community. Were you part of those meetings with the governor as well?
Yes, I was. It was a very productive discussion. The governor is very engaged on this. She asked a lot of really good questions from us about our concerns and, frankly, what we're hearing from our communities. The exchange back and forth was productive, and we covered these specific topics as well as a range of others. So I'm very glad to have that support from the governor and the offices of Senator Thune, and frankly, Senator Rounds also reached out as well. So we know that there's other initiatives perhaps coming out of Congress. I think Senator Scott released an initiative today. There's certainly some legislation that the House have released. So there's more to come on this. But our message today is based upon our policy review and the national discussion of the things that have come out since the death of Mr. Floyd. We stand up very well on that, and we're proud and want to be transparent about that to our citizens in our community.
Chief, how did you come up with the 8 specific subjects that you mentioned in the press release there?
So that's a great question. Those 8 items are items that have been circulated broadly nationally and certainly across the state as 8 specific items. So we just kind of took those as they were items of interest that there was a lot of discussion about, and said, well, let's look specifically at our policy and see how our policy reflects that. So that's where that came from.
How does law enforcement handle complaints about officer conduct?
So we have a very specific complaint process. Any citizen or person that has a complaint can contact a supervisor, and that complaint will be documented, and that will be investigated, and then the feedback loop to that complainant will be complete based upon when the investigation is complete.
How often do the policy reviews happen?
So we started this one last year. I think the last one that we did with LLRMI was a few years before that. I can get that exactly for you. But that's the responsible thing to do. That is in line with national best practices because, frankly, the laws change over time, and best practices in any industry, whether it's private business, nonprofit, and government, change over time. So that is an ongoing effort.
Are all the items on here, are they all of the same equal value, or are they listed in priority or anything like that?
We list them as equal value. Certainly there's some things that are more prominent in the media because of how they were part of events that that happened, but we looked at them independently. We didn't rank them specifically. These are all important.
Is there any sort of Citizens Advisory Board?
There is at the state level, there is the Law Enforcement Standards and Training Commission, which oversees the certification of officers across the state level. But as far as Sioux Falls, that is something that we're looking at as a part of a potential reform effort going forward.
How soon could something like that come into play?
Well, that kind of depends on the group that you draw from. I think that that's something that's very reasonable, and that we're going to study that. I don't want to put a timeline on it because there's a lot of factors that go into that.
Will any of this require retraining, or is this like just going to be sent out as memos, or how is this going to be implemented?
So there's really no significant policy change here. We've already begun doing some training with our officers in the immediacy of the event that happened with Mr. Floyd. We did some refresher training with our officers in lineup to just go over our use of force policy and arrest protocols again to show why we do what we do and how what happened in Minneapolis is not part of our policy. We don't train that. It's nothing that we do. And so that began immediately. Going forward, you will see this being part of our training going forward, not only in a lineup setting, but certainly in service and in academies as we go forward.
How broadly used are body cameras? When are they activated? And when is the footage publicly available?
So we have 30 body cameras on Sioux Falls Police Department. We have had a good experience with those. They work in conjunction with our patrol-operated cameras. They're activated by policy during a range of things, and I can certainly get that to you specifically, but it's a range of calls that we require them to be activated on. South Dakota law does not allow for the release of video. It's considered confidential criminal justice information, as are police reports and a number of things under the law. So that's how that occurs under the law.
One more question. How confident are you in your officers that they're going to be able to implement all of these policies and execute them to the high standard we hold for our officers here in Sioux Falls?
Well, frankly, we implement them now because we're not making a change. These are things that are in our policy now. Our officers are very well trained, and they understand their duty, and they know that the policy is there to not only help them serve the citizens, but frankly to protect them. And so they're mindful of the policy, and if we need to course correct at any time, we'll take that on an individual basis. But the officers knows that they're accountable to the policy, and they're very good at that.